Hello, Leg over here, and we're back today on F1 2020. And as you can see, we are here at France for round 6 of the IXR season. Last week in Belgium wasn't a very good race, just we got caught up in a few incidents that just ruined the race for us. But this week, we're going to try and bounce back with a better result, or at least a better race. And we're out in qualifying right now. We're planning to qualify on the mediums, because the weather forecast for the race showed that there was going to be rain towards the middle of the race as we're cutting on to the end of our banker. So because there was going to be rain at the middle of the race, we wanted to start on the mediums so that we could go to the middle of the race on the mediums and then pit for the wet tires. But we're out on our final lap now, starting the final qualifying lap now. My PB on the mediums is a 28.6, so lots of time to be found here. Heading into turn 1, we take it pretty nicely actually. Turns 1 and 2 was pretty good, already 800s up. Now into this section, definitely could have used a lot more of the inside curb, and then we completely missed the inside curb on the left-hander, which lost us a lot of time because you really have to hook it up to gain a lot of time. But there's still time to be gained throughout the rest of the lap. We're still 7.78 thousandths, 79 thousandths up on our time, so still making improvements. Heading into the second chicane, we absolutely fly over that left-hander on the inside curb. We take it very nicely. All of a sudden, we're 2.4 tenths up on our previous time. It's a purple second sector on the medium tire. This has been a very good lap so far. Heading into the third sector then, and this is where the soft tire is going to have the most advantage, but we're still going to keep pushing. And going through this left-hander, you got to take a really late apex. That's probably the most optimal line to take through there. Exiting now, heading into this corner, this left-hander, once again, you have to take late apex before you head into the final corner. Miss the exit curb as well as the apex curb. Activate the DRS. Heading down the straight, we're 4.5 tenths up, and where does it put us? P11. It puts us only P11. And at the end of the race, qualifying, it's P12. Fastest of the medium runners, but the soft runners just had so much of an advantage that we couldn't catch up. But you can see, going into the race now, the forecast has completely changed. Now, all of a sudden, the rain is coming much earlier than what it was saying before. But we've still decided to go on the medium tire, which is probably a mistake, because you can see at the end of this formation lap, it's already started raining. The race hasn't even started, and it's already raining here. So we have not chosen the right tire to qualify on or start on. It's a big mistake here, but we're going to have to do our best on the medium tire. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here for the French GP. It's lights out and let's go racing here, and we get a decent start. Mintz is on our inside. We gotta leave him some room as he is our teammate. Going into turn 1, and we get spooked by the car ahead. Kind of go off track to make sure we don't run into the back of someone. Someone's been spun around, and whoever was on the inside of turn 1 had to back out because there was a car spun around there. We were on the outside, so we didn't have to take avoiding action here. So we have gained a position. We're up into P11 now, heading through the right-hander. We're gonna go onto the long back straight here. Lots of cars squabbling for position here. Heading down the straight, we're going to use the overtake button. The racing point of Kaji is very close to Porky up ahead. Porky's having a look down the inside of the Red Bull. They're having a look down the inside of all over each other now. Heading into the chicane, Kaji's been spun around by Porky. There's been huge contact there. Yellow flags are out. We've gained another position just like that by keeping it clean on the start here. Now heading down this straight, going into the flat-out right-hander, you can see the rain is already falling down on the track once again. It stopped raining at the start for some reason, but it is raining once again, and it will probably soon be time to pit for intermediate tires. Heading through this left-hander now, and all the guys ahead are stuck in a train for the most part. Me and my teammate Mintz have made up quite a few positions here on this opening lap, up into P10 and P11 here, and now exiting the final corner of the first lap, and we're very close to the guys up ahead. Yellow flags behind. Someone's had an incident at the final corner. Going into turn 1. Someone's hit the wall. There's a big crash there. It's the Renault. And we just about avoid him. Even if we didn't, he was ghosted, so it would be fine. But exiting turn 2. And there's been a huge crash there, as I said. So that's another free position here. We're up into P9. Heading through this sequence of corners. And we've still been able to make the start work for us, even on the medium tire. Heading down heading through this right-hander, which goes into a left, which leads onto the back straight here. And we're half a second behind Porky up ahead. All the guys ahead are on the soft tire. And you can see Jeff has told us to change strategy, and we have confirmed that strategy. We're going to pit for the intermediate tires on lap 2 of this race. As we get a huge snap of oversteer, we nearly spin into the wall. Luckily, we catch it. And yeah, starting on the medium tire was definitely a mistake, but we're going to have to try our best to recover in the intermediate stint. Now heading through this right-hander, you can see the track is just getting wetter and wetter as we head through and into the left-hander now. And yeah, just understeering now. There's no more grip on these mediums, on these dry tires. Now we're going to head into the pit lane. As you can see here, everyone is diving into the pits. Going into the pit lane now, we just double lock up on the fronts because there's no grip. Everyone's going to be double stacking here, so lots of people are going to be getting held in the pit lane. We're going into our pit box now, but you can see up ahead, the 2 Red Bulls are double stacking. We've been held in the pits because of the Red Bulls, and now we exit the pits. We were held massively, but we entered the pit lane in P9, and just look at the position counter. Look at how many positions we make up here. We're up into P6. We made up 3 positions in the pit lane. That's just crazy because of how many people got held in their pit box, because of how many people were just double stacking. That's probably the entire field was in the pit lane there. Pretty much the entire field was in the pit lane, and it just allowed us to gain so many positions here. So we're up into P6. It's been a good start to this race, to say the least. And now heading into this right-hander, we're going to try and catch the guys up ahead. That's Lizard King, and then up ahead of him, Braga Ute. And we're just going to try and catch up to those guys. Behind us we have Verlies, and then behind him we have Porky. Now heading through the right-hander, goes into a left-hander. Now back onto the back straight. We're going to use the overtake button. We're just out of second of Lizard King up ahead. So we are closing the gap. As you can see on the straight, we are gaining time. As we cut onto lap 4, we do manage to catch up to Lizard King up ahead. He's sliding all over the place through that right-hander. It's very easy to spin there in the wet. He just about holds on. But exiting this right-hander now, we get a bit of oversteer. Furley's behind us, has a 3-second penalty, but he is still very close to us. Lizard King's gone wide. He's struggling in these intermediate conditions. Heading into this left-hander, we've made a massive mistake. We've blocked up. Verlies goes down the inside here on the outside for the hairpin, but we make contact. He just acts like we weren't there and takes the normal racing line, just like he did in Belgium. Nearly spun us round, just like in Belgium. Luckily, we didn't get spun round, but he just didn't leave any room, and we lost out to not only him, but also to Porky. It's not that hard to leave space, but he just hasn't done it there, which was a bit frustrating again, because similar thing happened in Belgium, where we got spun round by him. But we're going to have to try and make up lost time. We're going to have to try and make up lost time to the guys up ahead here, and exiting this sequence of corners, heading onto the back straight now. And all of those guys are very close to each other. They're probably going to go for moves on each other here. We got to worry about Rapid behind us, because he is just 4/10 behind. Look at the guys up ahead. They're going side by side into the chicane. Who will come out on top? Seems like Lizard King has been able to hold on here. Porky's all over the back of Verlies, unable to get a better exit. He's nearly oversteered into the wall. That's a free position for us. Porky nearly went straight into the wall there because of oversteer. Heading into the right-hander, and the gap ahead is 1 second as we head into the 3rd sector. And as we cut onto lap 6 of this race, we were able to gain time once again. And now heading onto the back straight, and it's gonna look like we're close enough to make a move. We move to the inside. Verlies cuts us off there. We have to brake on the straight to avoid a crash. That was a very dangerous move from Verlies. Just shouldn't be happening there. It's just way too dangerous to be moving like that on the straight. I was not very happy about that, and we ended up staying behind because of that dangerous move from him. A bit frustrating once again, and we've lost out once again because of it. And now heading through the right-hander, we're just going to try and get close enough once again to make a move. Verlies is all over the back of Lizard King, and now exiting the left-hander. Lizard King once again all out of shape. Seems like he is struggling in these intermediate conditions. As I said earlier, the conditions are getting worse and worse as Lizard King covers off the inside. Verlies goes for a move here. Lizard King, as I said, struggling in these conditions. The conditions are getting worse and worse here. Soon enough, it will be time for the wet tire. But heading down the straight now, the two up ahead are side by side, going into turn 1 and 2, and they make huge contact. Heading out of turn 2, we try to get the better exit. We're nearly alongside him. It might be 3 wide going into this corner. We back out of it because 3 wide probably wasn't going to end well there. And we're just going to wait to make a move on the straight, hopefully. But heading through the right-hander now, exiting this right-hander, which goes straight into a left-hander. And someone's behind us looking for a move. We get a bit of oversteer. We forced Crudy out wide because of that oversteer. That was my fault in the end. Luckily, he didn't get spun round because of it or anything like that. So we carry on, and we actually don't go for a move on Lizard King, interestingly enough. We definitely could have used a bit more battery, and we could have gone for a move there, but we decided not to. Heading down this straight, though, and we are going to go for a move. A little tap there. I think it was a bit of lag. Heading into the right-hander. We've been tapped on the side, as you can see, and we get a huge oversteer, and we end up spinning round. We were tapped slightly on the side of our car. You could see on the front left we got tapped by Lizard King, and it put us into a massive oversteer. Then I had to correct the car, and we made contact again, which sent us both off the track, which is just a really unfortunate incident. It's pretty much destroyed the start of the race for both of us here. Unfortunate and a bit frustrating as well, but we're gonna just have to try and make up time. We did get some damage. We didn't decide to pit. We decided to stay out until lap 8 of this race because now it is time to pit for the wet tires, the full wet tires. But as you can see, we speed in the pit lane. We have a 5-second time penalty. I went 2 miles per hour too fast into the pit lane, which is probably the most silly mistake I've ever done in a league race. So definitely a very frustrating mistake, going 2 miles per hour over the speed limit. But we're gonna have to deal with the penalty, and we're gonna have to try and make up for it in this race. Now we're heading down the pit lane, and we disengage the pit limiter now, and now exiting the pits, and we're on the full wet tire, as I said. Now heading into turn 1. We're probably going to be in clean air for most of this stint, as the gap ahead is 9 seconds. So we're just going to try and keep our head down and keep pushing here and try and gain some time. Cutting on to lap 15 then, and the track has become less wet, and it is time to pit once again, and it's time to pit for the intermediate tires. We're going back onto the intermediates. We make sure we don't speed into the pit lane this time. We're going to have to serve the 5-second penalty that we got for speeding in the pit lane, because we got that penalty right before we made our pit stop. So now we have to wait 5 seconds before we can get our tires changed. But you can see the pit crew just stare at the car for like an extra 1.2 seconds for no reason whatsoever, and we just lose unnecessary time for no reason. We were just held in the pit lane for 1.2 seconds after that 5 seconds for no reason, and it was like a 6.2 second stop-go penalty instead of 5 seconds. So that was strange, and it just ruined our pit stop even further. Already it was ruined by the penalty, but ruined even further because the pit crew just stared at the car for an unnecessary amount of time. So that's frustrating, but we gotta keep our head down once again and try and gain time. But lap 18 of this race now, and we've caught up to Kaji up ahead, and he has decided to stay out on his full wet tires, which I'm not sure why, because they're definitely slower at this stage of the race. You can see we've caught him at like the worst point on circuit because it's very difficult to overtake through there. So we've lost a bunch of time, but now we're gonna have to try and get past into the chicane here. And we're using the overtake button, so is he. He's using a lot of it seems, heading into the chicane. We do get the move done, and now we're just gonna have to try and keep our head down and catch up to the guys ahead. The gap ahead is 5.5 seconds, so we're gonna have to try and catch up to him. Heading onto lap 21 now, and the track has dried out a lot here. It is still damp, so some people might stay out on the intermediate tires for one more lap, but we're gonna risk it. We're gonna pit for the dry tires here. Heading into the pit lane, we make sure we don't speed into the pits. If we have timed this pit stop right, then we will gain so much time on the guys up ahead here. We're gonna head into the pit box now, and we're gonna change onto the soft tires to go to the end of this race. And up ahead, everyone has decided to stay out on the intermediate tires. We're the only person who's decided to pit for the dries, so this is a risk that we're taking, and maybe it will work out for us. Exiting the pit lane now, you can see the DRS has been enabled, and normally that means that it is time to pit for the dry tires. So we've timed this pit stop perfectly, and now we're just going to be gaining so much time on the guys up ahead. The gap right now is 26.9 seconds, and it's just going to go down rapidly just before they make their pit stop, because we've timed the pit stop perfectly, but those guys up ahead have decided to stay out on another lap, and the intermediate tires are now way slower, and they're just going to be losing time here, as I said. Now, heading on to the back straight, but now cutting on to the end of that same lap, heading into the final corner. You can see on the track map, lots of people still in the pit lane. There's 2 cars exiting now that we won't be able to pass, but there's still 2 cars in the pit lane. Those were the 2 cars ahead of us, and we have jumped them in the pits, and now we're ahead of them. The gap to them was around 4.5, maybe 5 seconds, and we've gained around 6 seconds from that undercut by pitting on the softs just 1 lap earlier, and we've just gained so much time here. But cutting on to lap 24 then, we kept our head down, but Wiggy behind us was just able to catch up, and now heading through the left-hander and into the final corner, and Wiggy sends a dive bomb into the final corner, so we have to leave him room on the inside. And will he be able to keep the move down the straight? We are side by side going into turn 1. It looks like we will be side by side, braking for turn 1, and Wiggy backs out of the move there, and we keep the position for another corner. And now heading down this straight, heading into the right-hander. The grip is increasing slowly, but it's definitely still not at optimal grip levels, so we're still taking it easy here, just trying to find out how much we can push the track as we're exiting onto the back straight now. The gap behind is 0.6. He does have the slipstream, but I doubt he'll be close enough to make a move into the chicane, but we have to be careful. He is closing in. He's not close enough, but he sends a dive bomb on us. That's a very risky move, and he ends up spinning himself round. So he took the risk to make that dive bomb, and it didn't work out in the end. So I think that's a bit of a racing incident there, and he ended up losing out lots of time because of it. Cutting on to the end of the final lap, we just kept pushing and pushing, and Porky up ahead had a 6-second penalty, and we were so close to catching Brent up ahead of us in the end, but we weren't able to. We were just half a second off of him in the end. Since Porky had that 6-second penalty, we did finish ahead of him. It's P8, a bit of a frustrating result. There was definitely a few things that were just unlucky for us in that race that caused that disappointing result in the end. We've been a bit unlucky in this league so far. Some things I could have done better, some things that were just out of my control. And sometimes it's just unfortunate, but we're just going to have to try and bounce back once again. P8 is not the result I was looking for, but not every race goes to plan, as I said last week. And we're just going to try and make up for it in the next race at Baku. But you can see the race results here. P5 for our teammate, P8 for us. But guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as I post F1 content 3 times per week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.